Welcome to Knit Together with Kim and Jonna. I'm Jonna, and Kim is actually on a staycation with her grandchildren this week. So this is a catching up with Jonna episode. So welcome or welcome back. And if you are a returning viewer, you kind of know the drill when Kim and I do our videos separately. So yeah, I just wanted to catch you up on what I've been thinking, what I've been working on, just kind of life stuff. And I'll put in a timestamp so that you can skip ahead to knitting if you don't want to hear anything else, which is totally fine. It's a little warm. This room, I think I mentioned this before, is above the garage, so it's kind of toasty in here, but we've actually been having amazing weather. Warm, but nice and breezy. And we had a couple weeks where it was just incredibly humid, like rainforest humid, but that's settled down a bit. I am headed to Texas, though, at the end of this week. And the 5-day forecast is nothing under 106. So I'm not a summer person. I love fall and winter and early spring. I spend most of spring dreading summer. Anyway, I just don't like to be hot. I guess it's the British genes or something. Anyway, we've had a really nice summer. And if you watched our previous episode, I got to spend some time with my grandchildren here in New York, which was really, really amazing and special and everything I imagined it would be. So, so I'm headed there on Friday to go to one of their birthday parties. So someone is turning 9. So I'm excited about that. This morning I woke up and my husband gave me a little bit of knitting time, which is nice because he knows I've been lacking in that department and feeling, a little stressed, a little anxious. It's funny, I was listening to Kevin and Ray from Needles at the Ready, and Kevin was talking about, does your knitting stress you out? And are you knitting for certain events and festivals and you have plans? And if you get behind, you get anxious about that. And I definitely suffer from a little bit of that. I guess because, and I have to kind of let that go because I like to just, decide to cast on something, or I get inspiration, or I see some yarn, or I see a pattern, or I watch a podcast. I don't like to have firm plans, but at the same time, that sometimes leaves some lingering whips as we if this is not your first time tuning in, you know that I have some of those. So my knitting mojo has been a little waning. I think it's just the warm weather and just extra busy. The days are long in the summer, which means, you pack so much in. And I just love those short winter days where the sun sets, at 4:30. And we just have these cozy short evenings of, fires and playing cards and watching TV and all the things we do in the winter. So anyway, so he let me have a little bit of knitting time this morning. And it's funny. I always say that sometimes yarn and a pattern don't make a baby. Well, sometimes yarn and a pattern and timing don't make a baby. The yarn and the pattern, there might be nothing wrong with that combination, but just the timing isn't right. So I think I've been struggling a little bit with that. My dad is turning 90 in September, and he just decided one day that he didn't want to drive anymore. Which is a hard thing to say and a brave thing to do. And so he sold his car. And so I've had a little bit of extra responsibility driving him to the doctor. And, I just don't have a project that is portable, number one, that I can memorize easily, pick up and put down. So I felt like I sort of just needed to organize my knitting situation, which stressed me out even more. So anyway, I thought, man, I just need a comfort knit. I need a round and around something or other. And I decided on the Sunday sweater by PetiteKnit. Now, I have knit this sweater before, but I think I might have made the extra small or my yarn, my gauge was a little bit off. And so it fits, but it doesn't have it's not voluminous. It doesn't have the ease, you know, that you see on the models when you look on Ravelry. So I've always wanted to make another one. And I have this CaMaRose Snefnug in stash. And I actually bought this for the Delia sweater and decided to use the ivory color that I had. So I have quite a bit of this. And then I found this beautiful mohair. It's Julie Asselin Anatolia in some kind of rose color. I didn't even put it in Ravelry yet. And so I cast on, and you know, I'm just plugging away, and here I am getting ready to film this podcast, and I realized that I used the wrong size needles to do the neckline. So I am going to rip it out because the transition between, this is a folded over neck, for lack of a better word. I don't know what else you would call it. And I thought, gosh, it's really big. It's much bigger than my other one. And okay, well, whatever. And I can really see where the increases are made. It's left little holes. So I'm actually going to rip this out and start again on a US 8, which is, of course, I have this all written down. Here, I have that right here. A US 8, which is a 5mm needle, and I cast on with a 10, which is a 6mm needle, and then you transition to a 7mm needle, and there's no US conversion for that, so I'm using a 10.5. So I'm definitely gonna rip this out and start again. So that's that. But you know, I love the color, and I think it's going to be big and cozy and oversized. It's an easy pattern. It's a great first sweater. There are no short rows. That said, I might put some short rows after the yoke, after this ribbing detail is finished. I might put some short rows in the back underneath the yoke. So I don't know. That remains to be seen. Let me just cast on with the appropriate needles, and then I'll start making modifications. So anyway, yeah, this is sort of my comfort knit. This is something I can take on the go. And I usually upload my patterns to GoodNotes, which is an app I use on my phone and my iPad. So I'll always have the directions with me. And this, you know, once I look at the directions, I know what to do. So this doesn't take up too much brain space. And I think it'll just be a nice, cozy, wintry sweater to wear with jeans. So anyway, so let me get back to my day. Yeah, so I knit a little bit on my Sunday sweater, and then I went to the gym. I have not been to the gym this week. We just have, my son-in-law needed a root canal, and my dad needed something, and the kids needed something, and one thing and another. But I did go to the gym this morning, so that was nice. And I rushed home because my husband and I have our lunch date on Wednesday. So we went to the local diner, and yeah, we needed to be home at 1 o'clock because Teddy had a play date. So we rushed home, and then I went over to Clifford's house. Clifford is Teddy's brother, same parents, previous litter. So Clifford is about a year older than Teddy, and they are just best friends. Clifford is about half Teddy's size, but they run around the yard and they tackle each other. And Clifford's parents have a huge yard and just tons of grass, and they just have the best time. So we had a little play date over there. And then I went into town and got an iced coffee, and I did my nails in preparation for my trip. My nails usually look pretty horrendous, but I don't know. I thought I wanted them to look nice for my trip. So did that. And then I spent, so my room is a little bit different. My desk is over there, and it used to be here in front of the window where I'm sitting. But I decided that my grandson needed more room to play. So I tried to fit more stuff in the same space. And it took me all day. I think I moved furniture, you know, I drew pictures and just moved things from one end of the room to the other. And I think my husband was just so happy he didn't have to be involved. But the configuration didn't change too much. I did move the chaise that was over there over here. So his mom has a place to lay down if he wants to take a nap. And I took the fourth side off the side of the crib, so it's like a day bed. And it was so cute. My grandson comes over and he goes, oh, there's no right there. And I said, no, there's no right there. He was so excited that he could get into the bed himself and out of the bed. And I bought some cute little doggy bedding on IKEA, and I bought some new toys. I just thought he's playing with toys that my kids played with when they were little. So I went to the toy store and I kind of splurged on some interesting new toys. And yeah, I just had the best time. So it was a surprise. They came over and there were just new toys and, you know, new configuration. And so all of my stuff is kind of crammed over here on this side of the room. My sewing machine and the yarn cabinet are still in the same place. That said, they made a trip over to the other side of the room and back. So it's okay though. I kind of like having my desk over there. I didn't like having it in front of the window for some reason. So I don't know, go figure. So yeah, I'm still trying to get stuff put away. So it's a work in progress for sure. So speaking about works in progress, I came upon a new to me podcast, and it's called Knee Knits, and it's N-E Knits. And I think the N-E stands for Northeast. I could be totally wrong about that, but it's a lovely young woman from Massachusetts, and Massachusetts is in the Northeast of the United States. So that's why I'm thinking it's Knee Knits, but I could be wrong. I think she's also knee_knit on Instagram, and I'll put all that in the show notes if I'm getting it wrong. Her name is Amy, and you know how YouTube just kind of pops up videos, and I saw that she was making the Kutar top by Sari Nordland, and so I immediately clicked and watched, and so this was her latest episode. So then I kind of like to go back towards number one. I don't like to start at number one and go forward. I don't know why, that's just weird, but anyway, so yeah, she is working on the Kutar top, and it was interesting to hear her take on it and her take on the pattern. And it is not, so this is my, when a yarn and a pattern and timing just don't make a baby, because for some reason, and it's lace back and forth, so both sides, I'm just having trouble sticking with it for some odd reason. It's nothing to do with the pattern, nothing to do with the yarn. I'm using Isager Trio 2, which is, here's a full skein, 50% linen, 30% cotton, and 20% lyocell, which is like a tencel. I think tencel might be the brand name, but lyocell, which is some kind of plant fiber, I believe. And it's beautiful yarn. It's lovely, and it's this ivory color, and it has this sheen to it. The color is white, and the yarn is beautiful. So I cast on, and it calls for a provisional cast on, which I did using some of this knitting cord. So this knitting cord is my waist yarn. So theoretically, I should be able to just attach one end of my needle to one end of the knitting cord and pull my knitting needle through these stitches, which is nice. I did forget to put a knot in it, and it slipped out, so I had to thread it back through. I think I have the right number of stitches still, but yeah. So I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. I'll take a picture of it to have Kim insert, or not, you know. I don't want her to work too hard, so as you can see, it's absolutely a beautiful top. It's got like spaghetti straps all over lace in the bodice and in the back, an I-cord, those I-cord straps, and then you knit an I-cord on the edging around the armholes as you go. But it has, I think it has some fiddly parts. So I don't know if I'm going to stick with this, if I'm going to frog it and make something else. I thought about just, a simple ribbed tank top that I can start from the bottom up and just knit in circles. I really don't know. This is absolutely beautiful. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But this is kind of on the back burner for now. I still have summer knits on my brain. I made this. It's actually, I steeped some basil and mint leaves in some water, hot water, and added some of that Italian creamed honey, I think it's called, and some lemon juice. Oh, poured it over ice, and it's delicious. Speaking of my garden, so when we went to Texas, when the baby was born, or maybe that week we went to Florida, actually, Teddy went to camp, and the groundhog decided that he was gonna just plow through my garden, which he did. He is really a she, actually. So she and her children ate everything in the garden except for the herbs. They don't like the basil, the mint, the oregano, the rosemary. They don't touch any of that stuff. And the wildflowers hadn't really bloomed yet, and so she wasn't interested in those. But she ate every green thing. So all the lettuce, the spinach, the kale, nothing. There was nothing left when I got back. She did not eat the tomatoes. I don't know if they might be really, they have a really fragrant. So I'm thinking that maybe she didn't like the smell of them. So we have a ton of tomatoes. And she also didn't eat the potatoes because the potato greens are poisonous and the potatoes themselves are under the ground. So I'm going to be planting potatoes from now on. My whole garden is going to be herbs and potatoes and tomatoes. I seem to do really well with tomatoes. We plant sun gold tomatoes on the front porch because it gets a lot of sun out there, and they do really well. And then as the season progresses and the plants wither and die and get brown, they become my Halloween decorations. So, I mean, Halloween is, it's not really a big deal for me, but we live in a village where Halloween is a big deal. So we have tons of trick-or-treaters. So I usually leave the tomatoes up, and they're probably 6 feet tall by now, and they're brown and, yucky looking, and I hang skeletons in my dead tomatoes. So yeah, my grandson decided that he loved our skeletons that we use as Halloween decorations, and he calls them bone guys. And he just loved our bone guys so much that we had to get new bone guys. So anyway, got new bone guys. So I mentioned Amy from Knit, so go check her out. And she loves PetiteKnit, so, so do I. So, man, she made, is it the September slipover? A vest, and it's just stunning. She does excellent work and chooses, great yarn for her pattern. So yeah, so anyway, check her out. I don't know her, so I might just send her a quick message and let her know that I'll be sending people her way. So let's see what else I wanted to talk about. So I thought I would just catch you up on some of my kind of fall knits that are just swimming around in my head. So if you've been watching for a while, you know that Kim has a queue of sweaters. So she has yarn matched up with patterns in plastic bins. And so she knows what she's going to be knitting next. I have no idea. I'm just all over the place, which does cause me a little bit of stress, I have to admit. But I like the flexibility. I'm not very good about obligations and obligatory type things. I think because I worked in an industry, I worked in publishing for a long time, and it just was so deadline driven. And I just am not that person anymore. I just don't want to be that person anymore. So I don't do very well with deadlines and obligations. So I like to go wherever the wind blows me. But I do have some things in mind for fall. And I was inspired by Inga from Knitting Traditions, the Knitting Traditions podcast, another one of my favorites. And she finished recently this all over ribbed sweater, and she made some modifications. But I looked at the pattern, and it is the Erles Kosegenser. I want to say, yeah, Erles Kosegenser. I don't know what that means. I've heard her use the word genser before. I think maybe that means sweater. I'm not sure. But the pattern is in Norwegian. It's on the Rauma website, and it's only in Norwegian. You know, I thought about buying it, but honestly, it's hard for me to even decipher how to buy the pattern. So I guess I'm forced to find something that's similar, that's in English, you know, and then I can make my own modifications. So this Erles Kosegenser, and I'll put the link so you can at least see the picture, but maybe you're Norwegian and you can decipher the pattern page. But it's got this beautiful kind of wide crew neck, and it's an all over rib. I don't know if it's 3x3, 4x4, I'm not sure. It has some really big balloon sleeves that are just stunning. And Inga made hers kind of a 3/4 length, like a bell sleeve. So she didn't do a cuff, and it's just beautiful. I think she used a linen alpaca yarn. So definitely for me, a fall sweater, definitely not anything I would be wearing in the warm weather. So I have some ideas though. I was perusing Ravelry and came upon, of course, it's a PetiteKnit sweater, but the vertical striped sweater by PetiteKnit. It's a DK sweater. It's all over 4x4 ribbing, and it's knit on a US 7, which is 4.5 millimeter needle. And it is it a bottom up? I want to say. It is a bottom up sweater. And it definitely is an oversized sweater. So there's about 9 inches of positive ease. So it's got that kind of effortless, timeless, easy to wear. It could be dressed up, dressed down. So I definitely have my eye on that. So that is the vertical stripes sweater by PetiteKnit. Another sweater by PetiteKnit is the Hazel sweater. Now the Hazel sweater has a really, really deep split hem and has a turtleneck. So I definitely don't want a turtleneck. I made the Amy slipover earlier this year, and it has a turtleneck. And I think one turtleneck a year is plenty for me. So, but it has some beautiful construction, and I love the all over rib. So, you know, that's an alternative too. I do like the split hem. I don't know if I would feel like that was too much ventilation in the winter time. We do have pretty cold winters. So anyway, I honestly, if you told me I could only knit PetiteKnit patterns for the rest of my life, I would be completely fine with that. So beautiful yarn choices. She has some of her own colors in the Sandus Garn, in the Sunday line, in the double Sunday line. And then most recently in the, I want to say Pure Gint, she has a new pattern out that uses Pure Gint, and she has some new custom colors. So I have not checked that out yet. Okay, so another sweater that is definitely on my radar is the Vellichor by Andrea Mowry. Now, I bought yarn for this at Maryland Sheep and Wool from Green Mountain Spinnery. So I bought her single ply fingering, and I am planning on doing something really graphic, like a black charcoal and an ivory. And the Vellichor is this bottom up, all over texture, involving slip stitches, and yeah, I haven't looked at the pattern, so I can't really describe the stitch pattern, but it's very graphic, it's very geometric, it's very linear. It almost looks like plaid, and it's got short sleeves, so you could definitely wear a long sleeve top underneath it, or you could wear it on its own, depending on what you made it out of. But I saw some stunning ones at Maryland Sheep and Wool. In fact, if you asked me to say what the Maryland Sheep and Wool sweater was, I might say the Vellichor. I saw some beautiful ones. So I know Jonathan from Jonathan's Days made one for himself. He's another fun one. He hasn't been putting out podcasts as regularly, but he makes some beautiful, beautiful sweaters. So he sews a little bit, and he's really about his journey of learning how to sew and how to knit, and he's very charming. So yeah, so the Vellichor. So I have yarn for that. So that is a must. And I was on the pattern page, it says Vellichor is a noun, which I had no idea. So she wrote down the definition. And so, of course, I had to look it up. So Vellichor is a noun, and it means the strange wistfulness of used bookshops or the feeling evoked by the scent of old books and paper. And of course, that's like right up my alley. So I just thought that was lovely. And it reminds me of my other favorite word, which is sonder, S-O-N-D-E-R. So if you want to go look up that word sonder, it's just another kind of whimsical word that I don't use in conversation, but yeah, another really, really cool word. So I love words and I love language. And yeah, I don't know what I was doing taking entomology. I should have been taking etymology, but I took entomology, so I know a lot about medically important bugs. Yeah, which doesn't come in too handy very often. My grandson did get bit by a tick last week, I guess, and we sent it off. We knew it was a dog tick, and they don't carry Lyme as effectively as deer ticks, but they do carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever and other things that aren't as common in this area, but we did send it off to be tested, and it was disease free, so that was good, and he's fine. Yeah, so Vellichor. And so also at Maryland Sheep and Wool, I bought yarn to make a skirt. So I've had this kind of wool skirt thing on my mind, and I was looking at wool skirts, and I do have 2 patterns, which I may or may not use. I'm not sure. You know me, I'm not very, I don't know, committed to any one thing, you know. I just kind of really need to wait for that inspiration. So I was on Ravelry, and I came across the Ribba skirt, and a viewer requested friendship on Ravelry, and so I clicked on, you know, her projects, and I usually peruse people's projects, and she was also making the Ribba skirt. So that was really interesting to see. The Ribba skirt is a pattern by Katarina Linnhagen. Yeah, Linnhagen. And it's a fingering weight skirt. So this is a commitment. And the suggested yarn is Mondim by Rosa Pomar. Is that right? Oh, I don't have it up here. Sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway, it's in the suggested yarn is Mondim. I probably will not use Mondim. And it's knit on a US 1.5 and 2.5, which are 2.5 and 3.0 millimeter needles. It's a top down, and it's all over 2x2 ribbing, and it is stunning. It is just a beautiful, beautiful skirt. I think that I would wear it all the time. Fortunately for me, I am not super tall, so I probably wouldn't need to make it as long as the pattern suggests. I am just under 5'5", so I'm not short, but you know, I like to wear things a little bit shorter. So, you know, that here you can hear me like psyching myself out, like, you can do this, you can make this. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It's all over ribbing with a, you know, 3 millimeter needle, but no biggie. It has, I think it's top down. So you start at the top and then you make the waistband, and then it has some beautiful increases and shaping. It's very geometric. You can tell that's kind of my jam. It's very simple, very classic. So yeah, I can't get that one out of my head. So I would like to have a knitted skirt of some kind. We'll see what that ends up being. So, oh, and there's one other thing on my list. And this came about, I was at Pick Up Every Stitch in Mount Kisco, New York, the yarn store where we film our episodes. And Felicia, the owner, was wearing this beautiful, fluffy, cropped cardigan. And it is the Yuki No Hi No by Eri Shimizu, who is one of Felicia's favorite designers. And it was in Lina magazine, issue number 16. And the specified or the suggested yarn is the Biches Gros Mohair, which is a DK weight mohair. So I bought that. I bought that in black. And there's a little bit of a contrast along the button band and then along the bottom. And Felicia gave me her leftovers, which is this boucle. Excuse me, it's like a Julie, I think it's Julie Asselin gray boucle. And it's just a simple cardigan, cropped, buttons down the front. And I just think I would wear that constantly. I wear a lot of high-waisted pants, and I think it would just be perfect. I think it could be dressed up, dressed down. It looks very comfortable. So that is definitely on my list of fall knits. So yeah, I think that is everything. And I think I'm starting to lose my voice. So yeah, I'm glad that I got to chat with you today. You know, I kind of thought about it all. I thought, oh, on the way to the gym, I thought, oh, I should record a podcast before I go to Texas. You know, so we have something to share on Friday, and hopefully Kim can get it edited without too much work. And yeah, hopefully it'll be out this Friday. So the next time I see you will be, I'm not sure if we're doing a mini-sode this month or not. We are going on the I-91 shop hop. So the 17th, we're leaving here on the 17th and driving to Brattleboro, Vermont. So we rented an Airbnb. We'll be staying there for 2 nights. So we're going to try and hit the shops on the way up. And then we plan on doing an interview at Green Mountain Spinnery. And so they've promised us a tour. And yeah, we're really excited. We're excited to meet viewers. We're excited to see yarn shops that we haven't seen before. And we're excited to go to Green Mountain Spinnery and kind of go behind the scenes and you know, look at the process. So they make some beautiful yarns, and I'm sure we will not come home empty-handed. So we are definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, so hopefully the next mini-sode you see from us will be about the shop hop. So anyway, it's been wonderful and lovely to chat with you, and thank you for joining me, and thank you for all of your support and membership and encouragement and comments. We really do appreciate it, and we do read every single one. I know I'm a little bit behind on comments, but yeah, this summer has just, my brain is just, I don't know, I'm just kind of getting stuff done here and there. So I need to think about what we're having for dinner. I have no idea, but we have this, you know, this huge harvest of tomatoes. So it will probably involve tomatoes, as every previous dinner this week has involved tomatoes in some way, some form or fashion. So anyway, I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye. Yeah, this is really, I don't know, it's really bulky. I can't believe I did that in one take. Like seriously, like one take. I don't know, maybe I'll try it on and see. And I can't believe I have to rip this out. There he is. There he is. Oh, hello. Hi, Clifford.